All right, everybody, welcome back to MTG Bulk Mythic. Now we're looking at the Silverquill pre-release pack. Before I crack into this thing, keep in mind if you're enjoying what we're doing, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, find us on Facebook and Twitter, all the social medias out there, and leave a comment below to let us know what you think you're doing right, what you're really enjoying about it, and if there's anything else we could do differently. And don't forget to share with a friend. All right, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and move into Silverquill. This is the third of the 5 colleges. I've already broken the plastic here to make it a little bit easier to get into it, speed things up. And so far, this set looks like it's a lot of fun. I think obviously Lessons is going to be a pretty big splash in organized play, in constructed play, with the fact that even on MTG Arena, the best of ones, they've had to limit your sideboard down to 7 cards, which I think is a good idea. It's a good decision there because otherwise you're just going to run Lessons and you're increasing your deck by another 25% by having those you can go pull out. But here's the Silverquill D20 with a symbol there on the 20. It's black and white. Colors of the guild. Looks pretty awesome there. We'll add that to the collection, right? Here's our insert, and then our rare, our foil stamped rare is Fervent Mastery. 3 and 2 red. You may pay 2 and 2 red rather than pay its mana cost. And if you pay the reduced cost, an opponent discards any number of cards, then draws that many cards. And then, of course, a spell will allow you to search your library for up to 3 cards, put them into your hand, shuffle, then discard 3 cards at random. So it's like a very, very similar to a gamble, right? Fortunately, it's red. We're looking at Silverquill, so we may not even be in that color. And here's our seeded pack to tell us how well we're going to get started off here before we get into the regular draft boosters. So 1 seeded pack, 5 draft boosters for a total of actually 89 cards once you add the Fervent Mastery, because the seeded pack is short 2 cards, 2 commons. But then you build a up to 40 card limited deck with any number of basic lands that you want to play in, and that's how a pre-release or any other sealed goes. So there's Inkling Summoning, the lesson to create the pet for this college. So Inklings are 2/1 creatures with flying that are black and white, or yes, black and white. There's an Owlin Shield Mage, Ageless Guardian, Lash of Malice for combination removal / pump card, Introduction to Prophecy, Exhilarating Elocution, Biblioplex Assistant, Umbral Juke. I played this on Arena in a draft to set up a double block scenario against my opponent while I was attacking, and then forced them to sacrifice one of the creatures anyway. And here we go. It is the world champion himself, PVDDR, on Elite Spellbinder. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how this card plays out. I think it's going to be really good in Constructed, and there's an Inkling token. And, of course, these are also double-sided and this has Pests and a Spirit. And then one of the write-in cards. Hopefully I get all the writing cards. I didn't get all the writing cards from the previous set, so I wasn't able to make the whole 3x3 picture and out of the watermarks. So we'll see. I might open a few more packs just to see if I can get there. All right, going into the regular draft boosters. Here's a Silverquill Campus, another Owlin Shield Mage, Quandrix Campus, Leyline Invocation. So no Leylines in this set, but apparently there's a Leyline Invocation. Heated Debate was another red card that I splashed for later on in the Spell Table event that was played on pre-release weekend. It was pretty simple because I did have a campus that allowed me to splash for it. And then also, so this is now the 4th Harmonized, but also played 1 mountain with my Harmonizes, my Adventurous Impulses, and my other Go Find the Land That You Need cards. But I opened 2 Harmonize in my Quadrants pack. I opened 1 Harmonize in my what was the last one? Prismari pack. And now another one in this pack. So I have 4 of those Mythic Archive Harmonizes. It's supposed to be a rare, right? So I'm not sure how I'm hitting that more than nearly any other, regardless of rarity, Mystic Archives. But we'll keep plugging along here. It's looking very much like a Silverquill pack, so I'm pretty excited about that. That we're getting plenty of good black and white cards, mostly the black-white cards, the hybrid and the gold cards. So that's going to help us out quite a bit. Closing Statement. Good removal card right there. An instant that you could pay 2 less for if you cast it during your end step. And it's destroy target creature or planeswalker you don't control and put a +1/+1 counter up to 1 target creature you do control. And then our rare in this pack is the Augment or Pugilist. On one side, it's 1 and 2 green for a 3/3 with trample. And as long as you control 8 or more lands, it gets +5/+5. So it becomes an 8/8 for 3 if you have 8 lands. And then on the back side is Echoing Equation, 3 and 2 blue. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature you control becomes a copy of it until end of turn, except those creatures are not legendary if the chosen creature is legendary. So it keeps you from having to sacrifice everything if you only have legendary to target or if you wish to target a legendary. And of course, we got a sneak peek at what our Mystical Archive was, and that is Strategic Planning. Very awesome art. Very awesome art. I'm probably going to be looking for some of these arts on things like playmats or maybe prints or something like that, because the artists for a lot of these Mystical Archives really outdid themselves, in my opinion. So here we go. Moving on here, Silverquill Pledge Mage. Let's take a look at that one. It's a 3/1 for 3. That's 1 and 2 hybrid Silverquill mana with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, the Pledge Mage gains your choice of flying or lifelink until end of turn. So gives it either evasion or an ability to help you gain life and stay in the game. Might be pretty good. Continuing on here, another Expanded Anatomy. Hall Monitor, one of the best jokes I think in this entire set. They're like, how is it a monitor? I don't understand. It's just a lizard. Yeah, but it's actually a monitor lizard, which is hilarious. And then we have Fervent Mastery, which was our pre-release promo. So another one of those for not playing red. Snakeskin Veil and Strict Proctor Foil Rare. So 1 and a white for a 1/3 with flying. And then whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes an ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So that's on both sides of the table. So if your opponent's playing anything that triggers off of permanents entering the battlefield, then you can force them to pay 2. If you're playing triggers like that, then you can choose whether or not you want to run it out there. But in the meantime, it definitely can slow down your opponent. So here's a Spiteful Squad, which is a 4 mana, 0/0 with Death Touch. It enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and then when it dies, you move those counters onto another creature you control. Archway Commons, there's battlefield tapped, and you pay 1 or sacrifice it when it enters the battlefield, and then tap to add a mana of any color. When you're playing limited, a little bit of mana fixing goes a long way. Environmental Sciences. This is the first time I've seen this one, I think. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle, you gain 2 life. So mana fixing there in colorless on a lesson. Humiliate. Target opponent reveals their hand, choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card and put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. Some hand hate there that also grows your creatures. And Culling Ritual for our rare. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less, and then add black or green for each permanent that was destroyed this way. So you can destroy a lot of the lower mana value permanents, creatures, artifacts, enchantments, whatever have you, and then use that mana to cast some more spells afterwards. And then we have a rare Mystical Archive, Gift of Estates, 1 and a white for a sorcery. If an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for up to 3 planes, reveal them, put them in your hand, and then shuffle. And a fractal token. So that's some of that white ramp, for lack of a better term. And I guess if it's just allowing you to continue to play a land every turn and in the mid to late game, it might as well be as good as ramp, I guess, when people start missing their land drops because they're drawing more spells. And going into this last pack, let's see if we can finish out something that's worth playing Silverquill here. Here's another Archway Commons, and even if we can't, then maybe we can get some good splashes with 2 Archway Commons, huh? Field Trip was one of the green cards I used to enable my splashes. Unwilling Ingredient. This is a fun one. 1/1 with Menace, and then you can pay 2 and a black to exile it from your graveyard, draw a card, and lose a life. So early on in the game, or if you can suit it up with some pump spells or some equipment, enchantments, whatever have you, it can do a lot with that Menace, and then when it dies, you can cash it in for more cards. Never hurts to draw another card. We have a rare in our spell slot here, Illuminate History. It's 2 and 2 red for a red sorcery lesson. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. Then if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So it's a really good way to enable itself for that second half of the rules text there. And another Strict Proctor. And a Mystical Archive Opt. Pest token. All right, so looking at this, again, we got plenty of white. A lot of things that can keep our opponents on their toes. With the Elite Spellbinder, we got a couple of the Strict Proctors, depending on what their synergies are in our opponent's hand. We have some good lessons. And then obviously looking at our multicolored cards, because that's where it really is. You want to find things like Humiliate, the Pledge Mages, Spiteful Squad, even though it's the 4-mana 2/2, it's a 4-mana 2/2 Death Touch that then grows another creature when you cast it. Good removal in black and white. So especially as long as these sealed games are, things like Closing Statement, Rise of Exodus, they are absolutely playable in this environment. And then you can get you to things like your creatures that protect themselves with Ward, your evasion, all that kind of good stuff to close the game out. So this pack actually is not bad at all if we're looking at staying in Silverquill. Especially given that we have some good colorless lessons as well. 2 Introduction to Prophecies and an Expanded Anatomy. So definitely a playable Silverquill pile. I'm going to put the link to the tapped out list of these cards in the show notes, so take a look at it. Tell me what you think. Is it good enough for Silverquill? Are we splashing something? And if not, what other college are we transferring to when it's time to sit down and play? Let me know. Again, like, subscribe, find us on Facebook, and share with a friend to let somebody else out there know that we're sharing our hobby together. More colleges coming soon.